My name's Alex Rodriguez, reminding you, you don't need a contract, you need a team of pros.
Hey everybody, Alex with Bay Cities Construction here. Welcome to the Construction Show. Every week we come to you with awesome information about your new remodeling projects, or we talk about all things construction and real estate related here. I am Alex Rodriguez, the owner of Bay Cities Construction. I've got some amazing giveaways this week, and today we're talking about kitchen remodeling costs and why a kitchen is so expensive. So stay tuned.
My name's Alex Rodriguez, reminding you, you don't need a contract, you need a team of pros.
Everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Alex Rodriguez, and today we're going to talk about kitchen remodeling costs. We have some really good information for you. We also have some really cool giveaways. For the first 5 people that share the stream, we got some Bay Cities gear, we got some caps, we got some t-shirts. This is fresh off the presses, okay? If you share with 10 people, I'll give you one that I wore the same day. Just kidding, you're gonna get a nice clean one, don't worry about that. I've got some giveaways here, got some coffee for you coffee lovers, some gift cards, we've got some quizzes to hand out or to give out today. Got some Starbucks cards, and of course, no contractor can leave his house without a Home Depot card, right? All right, folks, so let's get into it. We have a really cool presentation. Don't forget to share your questions. Share the stream and also post your questions below. We love to make the show interactive. It's a lot more fun for me. It's a lot more fun for you. So let's get started. So we're here live in Torrance. That's my headquarters. And this is a picture of one of the most beautiful kitchens that we did last year. We had an amazing opportunity to do quite a few kitchens where the folks had a pretty respectable budget, and this is the outcome of one of those projects. So let's get started. Welcome to the show. It's episode 6. Really excited to share this content with you. So this is the stuff we're going to cover tonight. We want to talk about issues of unforeseen costs in construction. Unfortunately, there are some unforeseen costs. We're going to talk about how those things come up. We're going to talk about what a basic kitchen remodel costs, and we're also going to talk about what a moderate remodel costs. We're going to talk about the difference between prefabricated cabinets and custom cabinets. We're also going to talk about engineering and permits and all of that type of fun stuff. And we're going to talk about what it takes to get a luxury kitchen remodel. We have had quite a bit of inquiries and design agreements signed so far this year, and most of them have been for some pretty swanky kitchens. So we're going to talk about what the components of those kitchens are. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is are unforeseen costs. These are costs that are triggered by something that we didn't know or we couldn't know during the design phase. Okay, in this case, mold issue. Often, I would say probably 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 12 houses, we uncover when we do the demo. We uncover something that's pretty substantial. In this case, this is mold. There's termite damage on here. So let's talk about. There's kind of a couple different deals happening here, right? 90% of the time, when you have this level of damage, it is due to a water leak. So in this case, it looks like it's the framing members, kind of like the flat framing members of a roof, where it connects with a few different pitches, right? So if you have a breakage there, then the water will seep in, and you'll have substantial amount of damage in there. So this is kind of like the order of operations of this type of damage. You have water seeping in. The water will soften up the wood, which calls the subterranean termites in. And if the wood sits there wet over a long period of time, exposed over a long period of time, then you'll get mold, which is what you got here. So you see here, you got kind of like almost like a little mushroom ring growing there, and then you can see the little I don't even know what those are called, little tentacles it looks like fuzz in that face. So those are all like a horrific situation, right? Because it can cause it triggers a lot more demo to expose the totality of the damage, and that could definitely be pricey, and it can be a budget buster. And unfortunately, the expenditure is also something that you don't see, right? Like when you upgrade your kitchen cabinets or you upgrade your countertops, you can see that, right? Like the cabinets are really, 2 or 3 steps up nicer than what you maybe had originally picked out, or and the same thing with the granite. The granite could be you see it, but we're going back and repairing stuff that's of a structural nature, like this is from a picture I took of a building down in South Redondo. I think this is over near the Esplanade. All of these decks had been leaking for a long time, and there's a lot of damage here. So for those of you, and we're going to have put a downloadable checklist for home maintenance. But if you have any part of your house that you have water intrusion, understand that by letting it go, you're really letting a lot more expensive damage occur. A lot more. I mean, if you originally have the deck done, like let's say this deck, maybe it's a pretty good sized deck. If they would have spent, I don't know, let's say something really kind of on the expensive side, $4,000 or $5,000 to have the deck redone. But because they didn't, now the framing is damaged, and the framing goes inside of the structure. It could easily be a $27,000, maybe $30,000 repair, because you have to break the drywall and replace a lot of the framing that goes into the house. So keep that in mind. If you see anything leaking inside of your place, take care of it right away. If you have a window leaking, those are typically the culprits. A roof leaking, stucco leaking, window leaking, those are all indicative of water intrusion, and you got to handle that right away. If you have any stucco bubbling like this, that's definitely water intrusion. And in this case, probably this connection here with the post to the deck got damaged. The waterproofing got damaged, got compromised. You can even see here the flashing that's supposed to keep water out has got all these little rust spots. Basically, those little rust spots are real small holes, and they'll allow water to get in. So keep those things in mind, folks. Do you guys have any questions? Are there any questions out there?
We want to say hello to Aaron.
Aaron, where's Aaron? Where's Aaron do you know what city he's in?
But we also want to say hi to Mary Eileen.
Mary Eileen, how you doing, Mary Eileen?
Say hi to Myron.
Myron, how you doing, Myron? Is that Myron Curry?
Myron Curry.
Oh man, that's her favorite real estate agent. How you doing, Myron? Good to see you out here.
Want to say hi to Lydia too.
Lydia from New York. Lydia from New York, right? How you doing, sweetheart?
And you want to say hi to Brian too.
Brian, how you doing, my man? All right, so this is another very common deal. Actually, I would say this is more common than the framing issue. This occurs, generally speaking, when you get a pinhole leak on the copper. Little pinhole leak, it seeps, water seeps out, and before you know it, you got this crazy mold. Now, sometimes you can get a heads up on this if the room smells like a sour. It's like a sour, musty odor. But it almost, if you were to take a deep breath in a room like this, which I don't recommend, but if you did, it would almost burn your nostrils. That's how bad the release of the fumes are when the mold gets this dark like this, right? So if you have a room that smells musty, that shouldn't smell musty, you may have a little bit of mold behind the cabinets. So this was only exposed when the cabinets were removed, right? I mean, these things protrude into the cabinet, and then here's your drain for your kitchen sink, and boom, you take the cabinet off, and then you freak out because there's crazy mold everywhere. So the other one that's kind of a kicker, especially if you have a house built before 79, is asbestos. So in this case, this is a vent pipe that was either hooked up to a water heater or an old furnace that was underneath the house. It's indicative, it's got like this little mesh, see in this kind of a close-up, there's kind of like a mesh fabric. And asbestos is basically a silica that's like super toxic if you inhale it, in the sense that your body can't get rid of it. So it causes scar tissue in your lungs, and it's a big old deal. So whenever we find this, we definitely have the asbestos remediation people come in and take it out. It's not something that you want to deal with yourself. And in many cases, if you have a furnace that's in your garage, you'll see it right away. It's pretty clear. It has to be disposed of in an appropriate way, basically under hazmat. And it's not terribly expensive. I mean, it's not going to like break your budget, but it could be. I would say if I were to find asbestos in a pipe like this, or as an adhesive to a floor, I would take these pipes all day long because it's a lot cheaper to remove it than if you have to chemically remove the asbestos from a surface like on the floor. Okay, but it happens, and so you should be aware of it. If you have some exposed pipes that look like this, you should have it tested. The testing is not very much; it's under a couple $100, and you get the results like in a day or two. So we have a lab that we use in the valley for these types of things. Oh, asbestos. All right. So, can anybody online tell me what you call these little knobs here on the before picture? So this is an electrical box, for those of you that may not know. It's an electrical box. You got your little outgoing wires going there, right there. And then you've got these things here that can terminate the flow of energy, of power. So I'd like to see if how many of you have even seen this. Some of you may have not even ever seen this, but this is a current panel, right? It's a little sub panel in somebody's house. It's all set up right. Got the a few extra spaces and stuff. Your breaker box. So anyway, I'd like to see if anybody's posting. Anybody knows what these little knobs are here? The little red and yellow ones. Go ahead and post below. Okay, this is probably the most common, and I would say maybe 30% of the houses that we come across will have a pipe that looks like this. This is basically, this pipe's gone, okay? In most of the houses, it's gonna be like a 6-inch pipe. It'll be the main sewer line, and it could be the sewer line that leads from your house to the front of the street, or it could be a main sewer line within the footprint of your house, okay? A lot of them have been changed out already, but there's still some that are not. I had one of my students from the university sent me a picture. She was buying a house, and her home inspector, she had a home inspection done, and she sent me over the pictures of the pipes in her house, in the house she was going to buy, and they had leaks in about 3 different places. So whenever you see a pipe like this, actually the outside of the pipe will look a lot like this. It'll have the oxidation, that dark kind of crusty stuff there. It's iron basically breaking down. It's rusting, right? So if you have this, the only remedy is to replace the pipes with some new ABS pipes. But this can be a little tricky, especially if they're under the house and they've been buried, and you don't want to remodel a kitchen, remodel a bathroom, and leave this under the house, because you're going to have all this new equipment and you're going to constantly be battling a clogged drain, which is a major bummer if you've ever had that. So quiz question number 2. We skipped quiz question number 1. But quiz question number 2.
The fuse was. The last circle.
I think Brian almost spilled the beans here. Okay, so quiz question number 2. What is the most dangerous term in construction? A, don't tell my husband about that upgrade. B, while we're at it, let's do it. And C, how much can that little bit of XYZ cost? So what do you guys think? Out of the 3, what do you guys think? Which one is the most dangerous comment term that somebody can say during construction? I think it'd be fun. So for the winners, I got some gift cards for you. All right. Go ahead and tell me which one you want when you give your answer, in case you win, and Brian will mail you out your gift cards. For anybody that's been on the show and that's gotten a gift card, I mean, let us know. Let the rest of the audience know. Did we get your gift card out quick? Got some really cool hats here. Some brand new limited edition Bay City's construction hat. All right, let's get into a basic kitchen remodel. What's that?
Commercial.
Oh, hey, before we get started, let's let's listen to a word from our sponsor.
Kitchen you want today from Bay Cities Construction in the Southern California and Los Angeles area. There is no better company who takes time out of the equation to get you a detailed plan of what your new kitchen will look like. For $297, get your design plans done, your interior design plans done, and entire project scope done right now. Get your finished kitchen in 90 days or less. We are the best in the Los Angeles and Southern California area, and there's no need to shop anywhere else. Just get started with Bay Cities Construction. Go to baycitiesconstruction.com. That's baycitiesconstruction.com.
Welcome back, everybody. So let's talk about the basics of a kitchen remodel. So, one of the biggest questions I think that we answer when we meet with somebody in person or that we get over the internet, in fact, some of the content that we create online, the biggest topic of conversation, the biggest topic of discussion, or maybe the first topic of discussion is really the cost. And I think most people really want to know. I mean, they want to know the cost so that they can gauge whether they can afford to remodel their kitchen or what kind of kitchen remodel they can afford to do. In other words, what can they get for their money? So I would say that this, without it, when we're talking about costs, okay, we're talking no appliances. This is just straight construction costs. So dealing with cabinets, countertops, backsplash, plumbing fixtures, the labor for all of that, drywall work, and some new windows. A lot of times people get new windows, knocking down walls, putting in new floors, etc. That type of stuff. So we're talking straight up construction costs. So this is a job that we did over in San Pedro. I think it was either last year or the year before. This is custom cabinets. They got custom cabinets here, actually some pretty nice cabinets. And but there was a few different ways to save a few bucks. They went with these prefab quartz countertops, which definitely were a money saver. And they kind of splurged a little bit with that basket weave backsplash. But cost is a very funny thing. I always tell my customers, you really should get what you want, because I never want people to have like buyer's remorse, right? So I mean, of course, I think everybody makes some level of compromise when they're trying to get something built on their budget. But in the end, there's definitely a few things that you'll regret, and they're different points. For some people, it's the quality of the cabinet, whether they will go custom or they go prefab. For other people, it'll be what they actually choose as their countertop material. So these are things that folks are kind of struggling with all the time during the design phase. So, if you feel like that, if you felt like that, you should know that you're not alone. Okay. So under a scenario where you have a modestly priced kitchen, you're not knocking down walls, you're not putting in, a new electrical system. Basically, it would be a house that was maybe remodeled 15, 18 years ago, and the electrical isn't shot and the plumbing isn't shot. So you're basically removing like for like, definitely not removing any walls. So on a unit like this, these are prefab cabinets. Actually, I would say this kitchen was probably, you see the door styles in this kitchen, they look like they're almost painted. They like reused the same material. And cabinets can be refinished, Look, I mean, if you have a $10,000 or $20,000 budget, you may have to reuse your cabinets, okay? You may have to do something to doll them up. In this scenario, they used the Formica countertop and they replaced the sink. So under this scenario, we've seen this very common for rentals when folks call us and they want to keep the budget down, or they want to do a kitchen and 2 bathrooms for a rental property, so that the total bill on the project stays within their budget. This is an option that oftentimes people utilize. And I mean, the cool part too is that you get some new knobs and stuff. You can really dress up this kitchen nicely. So this is another kind of a split view example of utilizing the existing cabinets, right? So on one scenario you painted them, and the other. Now I got to tell you, if you have oak cabinets, you really have a pretty good opportunity to dress up the space, because oak paints well. So whether you're painting them white or you're painting them a color, a solid color, you're converting them, in other words, from the natural wood stain to a painted color. Oak does really well. And if you're doing this for rental, it's really good in the sense that you can have those cabinets painted every few years, and they'll look nice, fresh, and clean for your next tenants. I think you can get a lot out of your money by doing something like that. So let's talk about sinks. If you are working on a budget kitchen, you cannot get a farmhouse sink, okay? Well, you can, but it's not gonna be a budget kitchen anymore. So farmhouse sinks weigh like 100 pounds. You have to build the cabinet special for them. The way that you wrap the stone and stuff, it's a little bit more laborious. So just understand that you for a basic kitchen remodel, you can definitely get an undermount sink like this. And it could be a porcelain sink, it could be a stainless steel. Stainless steel is a little bit cheaper typically than porcelain sinks. And you'll definitely get a new faucet with a quartz countertop deal. White subway tile is relatively inexpensive, and you can get a very nice look if your tile guy does a good job. So let's talk about a moderate kitchen remodel. Well, I mean, look, some of you guys may look at $90,000 and be like, that's not a moderate kitchen remodel. But if you had $90,000 to invest into a remodel, and you weren't knocking down a wall, okay, then your cabinets would probably look like this. It would be super, all the bells and whistles. You'd have some really badass countertops like what you have here. And if you look at the unit, the vent hood unit here, see how it has no chimney? It basically is flat against the ceiling. That bad boy there was a few $1,000, and it took 4 guys like 4.5 hours to get it in there. It has these huge commercial motors. It works beautifully. I think my homeowner on that one is absolutely very happy with that choice. So I mean, and here in this deal here, that's the refrigerator back there. It's not a pantry, so it's got custom. This kitchen is dialed in. It's not a very big kitchen, but it was part of a very large remodel. So it's definitely the kitchen itself, or the remodel itself. It went well over $100,000. But if you had if you have a tall and skinny here in the South Bay, and you've got the room for it, a nice little island like that, and on this side of the room, she's got a really cool dining room table and stuff like that. So this is another shot, so you can see it. This is a typical skinny located in Hermosa Beach, and you see we had to bring this ceiling down so that we can get all this infrastructure in there, and then the rest is like kind of like the open beam deal. So I think the contrast looks cool, and we actually have some videos that show the progression of this job. If you wanted to look at that on our YouTube channel, that's Bay Cities at YouTube/Bay Cities Construction. We'll post a link. Okay, I would say this is probably the epitome of a moderately priced kitchen. Okay, so let me tell you what the features are of this kitchen. The cabinets are 100% prefabricated. There is a cool magic corner set up in here, right? We dressed it up with some kind of nicer, higher end kind of knobs and pulls. Excuse me, pulls. These are pulls and knobs. And we did do a full backsplash. in the modest price kitchen, you wouldn't have a full backsplash like this. Okay. You would have probably a backsplash the same material as your countertop. So this is really kind of a setup. There's vinyl floor, a setup for a modest price kitchen, okay? And there's vinyl floors here. We didn't really move anything around other than there used to be, I think, a wall oven here. That got terminated. Wall ovens, in this scenario, the homeowner wanted to rent out the place, but wanted the kitchen to be up to date. So that's what they got. So that doesn't mean you go super cheap, right? It's modestly priced. It's still not like an IKEA kitchen, but so we got some nice Kohler. This is a Kohler faucet and a really tip top Kohler stainless steel sink with the upgrades, right? This is to protect the sink bottom from getting scratched. So look, guys, folks, don't go cheap on the faucet, okay? If you go cheap on the faucet, you're gonna be replacing the faucet in a few years, and you're just gonna pay double the labor for it, and you're not gonna be happy with it. So I've known some people that have replaced 3 or 4 faucets in 5 years, and that's not a fun experience, you know. So go with a nice faucet. Spend between $350 to maybe $500 and get yourself a nice solid brass faucet. This beautiful little piece of sculpted steel is a project that we're wrapping up in Redondo Beach, and I would say probably this is on the higher end of the spectrum of cost. But some people dig this look, some people don't dig this look. Kind of the next upgrade is this Insta-Hot deal where you get instant hot water, and the other parts is instant hot water, or the other part's filtered. So that's cool. That's a cool setup right there. Glass tile in the back, kind of a moderate to higher end type of set scenario. So prefab versus custom cabinets. We have a blog article about this. It's a very, very common topic, and we can get into that right now. So a prefabricated deal. This is something you would typically see on the shelf at the Home Depot or at the Lowe's. It has a face frame. So American cabinets have a face frame. European cabinets don't have a face frame. So if you see this little edge there, that's a face frame right there. Made out of particle board. It's got a lot of glue, a lot of staples, not a whole lot of screws. And the cabinet has its use, okay? It's definitely considered on the low end of the cost and quality spectrum, okay, when you're talking about. But there are some advantages. Prefabricated cabinets are ready to roll. They're off the shelf. They're ready to be installed. You can customize them to some extent by putting in some kind of cool hardware that you would normally find in custom units. So there's a few things. I mean, look, if your cabinets right now are all beat up and they don't function, and you got doors that are ripped off, you don't have the money, get yourself some prefabricated cabinets. There's a lot of really cool places you can find them. We source from a few different spots. And then you've got this, right? I mean, this is beautiful in every way. Like, I look at this picture and, man, I kind of wish this was my kitchen. It's open. Look at the crown molding. It's a 2-stage crown molding. When you open these doors, you cannot slam anything in this kitchen, right? Everything is soft close. Everything is like tip-top hardware. You got a beautiful farmhouse sink here. I mean, you can bathe twins. I remember when my daughter was small, the first few baths were in the kitchen sink, and I wish we had a kitchen sink this big. She would have fit in there quite comfortably. Some architectural features that are totally exclusive to custom cabinets are, like this open shelf setup, or having glass on one side and then a solid panel on the other. Those are all things that are only in a custom setup can you get. These shelves, where these really nice blue bowls are, those are all custom made too, and we had to retrofit the wall so that we can attach it to them, and it would hold the weight. So if you want to learn more about custom cabinets versus prefab, we've got this really cool article. We're going to post that below after the show. We've got a lot of things happening, so give us a little bit of time. But if you go to the show afterwards, we're definitely going to post that. We also have a few other articles on custom cabinetry, blind corner solutions. Like, folks, we have about almost 400 blog articles on kitchen, bathroom remodeling, all things residential remodeling. Scroll through our little blog page there. I think that you will find some really cool pieces of content on there. And the fact is, it's all free and it's all for you. We want you to be informed. We want you to know what you're getting. We want you to really understand what it is that you're buying and what you're not buying, at the different price points. So that's why we put together this library of really cool content. So let's talk about engineering, but we're going to go take a little small break here so we can give the folks a little bit of a break. Take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Looking for a bathroom remodel in the Southern California and Los Angeles area? If you've shopped and you've looked at prices and have no clue where to start, let Bay Cities Construction get you started with a quote of $297. That's a $2,000 value plan for only $297. Get design, interior design, project scope, and know exactly what it will cost to get your bathroom remodeled. There is no guesswork and no need to shop around. Just take time out of the equation to get your new bathroom in 90 days. Get your estimate now at BayCitiesConstruction.com. That's BayCitiesConstruction.com.
Welcome back. All right, folks, now that you're back, hey, I want to thank you, folks, for responding to the quiz question. That's awesome. Some of you may have gotten the right answer. So we're gonna move on to answer your question. Do I need an engineering plan, and do I need permits? Do I need permits for this, man? If you are remodeling your kitchen here in California, particularly LA County, Orange County, you're gonna most likely need permits. It's not something you should shortcut. If you're remodeling a bathroom, you should definitely get permits. If you're moving a wall, you better get permits. It's a nightmare if you get caught, if you hire somebody who's not licensed and they start working on your place and a neighbor complains. That's how it always happens. A neighbor complains and the inspector comes out, boom, no permits. They shut you down. You know what's worse than that happening is that they shut you down, but you already covered critical stuff. Like you got rid of a wall, but no one knows. No one saw the framing that you did. No one saw how the weight was transferred from the wall that was removed onto new posts and piers that go all the way down to the ground. When you do that, if you cover everything all up, the inspectors may make you open floors out, take cabinets out, peel back drywall to prove that you have the appropriate dimension lumber to transfer those loads. So don't do that. Bad idea. All right. If you're moving any structure, for sure you need architectural and engineering. The bummer about that, right, is it increases the price, but the truth is that at least you have peace of mind. If you're going to go through the expense of a major remodel, you want stuff to be done right. You don't want a bunch of corners being cut and stuff, and you want to have you want to have the confidence knowing that if you have to sell a place or whatever, you're not passing on any liability to anybody else. And plus, you live there. The last thing you need is a piece of some framing member to fall off the top there. That'd be not good.
We have a question from John in Torrance.
John, all right, John, what's your question?
He wants to know, will remodeling my kitchen affect my property taxes?
That's a great question, John. If you are adding square footage, it may affect your property taxes. You may get reassessed if you're adding square footage. If you're remodeling and you're leaving the same footprint of your kitchen or your house, it shouldn't affect it at all. Any other questions? Got any other questions?
Another question from Mark in Lawndale. Should I purchase the materials myself or have the contractor buy it?
Well, that's a question we get quite a bit. So, it's something I struggle with all the time. Look, honestly, I don't want my prospect customers to buy the materials. And some of you folks may be saying, well, you just want to make the markup on the materials. And it's true, I do want to make the markup on the materials. But in addition to that, when I've let customers kind of go on their own and buy their own stuff, they don't do this every day, right? So many times they've gotten closeout on tile. The tile's not square. So my tile people are ready to install a tile. It cannot be installed. The tile is garbage. They'll get plumbing fixtures that are literally garbage, or they got sold something else, or it's just a big hassle. It slows down the construction, and the truth is that it really blurs the line on where we are liable for stuff. Because if you have us put in, or our subcontractors put in defective products in any way, then we're on the hook for it, and I don't want to be on the hook for stuff that's not squared away. So in our case, we don't deal with customers buying stuff. Now, every once in a while, customers already bought like a countertop or some faucet or some lighting stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about customers that want to buy everything and just have the contractor have me show up and just put everything in. That's not something that we would entertain. Although there are many contractors that are okay with that. And so you're not going to be left high and dry with your materials looking for somebody to install. It's just not going to be us. So, keep that in mind. The other cool thing, or the other thing that to consider, is if the contractor didn't buy the materials and the materials are somehow damaged, either while at the location or while the contractor's picking them up and all that, like that's just a bunch of liability that we don't. It's just messy. Look, in all honesty, I want you to look towards one person as the person responsible for the entire job, right? So with that said, if my guys break something, if they break the material, if they lose it, if the material's stolen off the job, or I don't know, whatever, if anything happens to the material and stuff that I buy, I'm responsible for it, and I'm okay with that. And I think that there's a lot of value to that liability being off of the shoulders of the homeowner and on our shoulders. I think it's totally worth whatever markup somebody's paying for that. So don't be too scared about that. But if you want to try and save a few bucks, you that may be a way that you can do that. So permits. If you move electrical, plumbing, if you have a home addition, any of those things will trigger permits. In fact, if you are in the city of Torrance now and you're going to do a major remodel, you better get a asbestos and lead clearance. The city of Torrance is enforcing that like crazy. So what does that mean? It means we get a third-party lab to come in and test your house to make sure you don't have any of these toxic substances before we do the demo. If your house is all clear, then we're good to go on the demo, and the city of Torrance will issue the permit. If you do have a toxic substance, then we will make sure that we get you a quote to have it removed. But these are all things that you'll run across during or just before the construction process. You'll have to pull permits and get a clearance. The luxury kitchen remodel. Oh yes. This is the stuff you see in magazines, folks. Oh wait, it's one of the kitchens we built. That's right. So this entire project was over 115. It wasn't 115, not at all. But I don't know. I think they probably spent maybe close to 150 after the appliances. I think that stove was like 10 or 15 grand or something insane like that. But it is a beautiful stove, a double oven deal. You can cook for a small army on that bad boy. Custom kitchen. I mean, you get the best of the best. That's just it. Or at that price point, you move walls. So that was one of the things we did here. Basically, this house, nothing had been done to it. Do we have a before picture? Oh man, all right. I'll tell you what. For those of you interested, put me a little note down there, and I'll send you a before picture of this property. But we removed the wall. We redid all of the plumbing. We redid all of the electrical up here in the front. The entire front of the house, the dining room, the kitchen, and the living room have all new electrical. The ceilings were scraped and smoothed out. It had that popcorn stuff everywhere. So for this scenario, definitely need architectural engineering. We had this was in the city of LA in Gardena, and definitely had quite a bit of work done to the place to make sure that it was ready for the walls to be removed and to be reset. It's a beautiful kitchen. For me, it's my favorite because I know that in this space, when the homeowner, really nice man and his family, they came to us and were considering us to do this remodel for them. They have, he's kind of up there in his years, and they have a weekend gathering every weekend pretty much. The whole family comes over and they cook and they have a meal together. And this place is like perfectly set up for that. I felt really cool to see the look on their face when we finally finished this job and they were able to enjoy it. And really the drastic transformation of the house. So it's pretty cool.
We have a question from Melissa in Torrance.
Hey, Melissa.
She says, "Who makes that sink?" I think she's talking about that prior picture. Who makes that sink? What type of sink?
So that's a farmhouse sink, and it's made by the good folks at Kohler. #Kohler farmhouse sink. Yeah, that's a Kohler sink, and I think that whole setup on the faucet was all Kohler. Jen Air, man, this is Jen Air makes a very nice upscale range. So if you're considering a Wolf or a G Monogram or a KitchenAid, Jen Air is definitely in the league. In that league. Oh, here's a close up of that farmhouse sink. So in a setup like this, like the plumbing here is pretty substantial. Their plumbing cost was pretty big. They have a very nice faucet. They also have an Instahot, and they got a second faucet. Let me go back here. They got a second pot filler. You can barely see it in here. You see it up right there by the pots. So the plumbing for that, I mean, that's totally a custom luxury setup to have a pot filler there, because you got to replumb for it and stuff like that. So it's definitely not something you'd find in a moderate price kitchen. It's definitely a pretty substantial upgrade. So again, for those of you interested in learning more about remodeling a kitchen, come on back to our blog. If you have any questions, I'll tell you what, we're running a special here, as you've seen in the commercial. For those of you watching the show, this isn't something that I'm advertising open to everybody else. This is for folks that have watched the show. So if you know somebody that's considering doing a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel, go ahead and share this with them. It's a pretty cool deal. We'll do the entire interior design for them, help pick out all the countertops and plumbing fixtures and cabinets, and do a floor plan. It's an amazing deal. What's that deal running, Brian?
$297.
$297. We'll do as many kitchens and bathrooms for $297 until the end of the month. So, if you know anybody that wants to take advantage of that offer, by all means,
it's real. It's a real offer.
It's a real offer. Oh, and the reason Brian says it's a real offer is because the last time we ran that, which was probably about 5 or 6 months ago, we got hate. We got hate mail. They were talking about, and somebody called me a scumbag for offering a $297 remodel offer. So folks, all kidding around aside, that's a real deal. So if you know somebody who wants to do that, please send them our way. We'd love to talk to them. If you've got a kitchen or bathroom that you want to remodel, you want to get some ideas, why don't you take some pictures, snap some pictures with your phone, and shoot them over to me at alex@baycitiesconstruction.com. That's alex@baycitiesconstruction.com. So we've been in business for a long time, folks. We've been doing this, love doing this, love fixing residential projects. We are also doing little soft story retrofitting. So we're a turnkey deal. We will do the interior design for you. We'll get your plans done. We'll represent you with the city. We'll manage your project, and we'll get your project built out in a expeditious manner. If you want to check us out on the web and want to do a little bit of due diligence on us, see what people are saying, by all means, go visit one of these kind of cool spots. We have anybody else on with any questions, Brian?
We do have a question from Laura. She says, I have a small kitchens. Do you only work on large projects like these?
Absolutely. We will work on small kitchens. In fact, if you're down here in Hermosa and Redondo, a lot of the kitchens are small galley kitchens. We're experts at remodeling those little kitchens. No problem. So send us some pictures of your kitchen. alex@baycitiesconstruction.com. Send me some pictures. We'll talk about it. Anybody else?
Another question. A design question from Jane. She wants to know, how do I make my kitchen look larger? I think she has a small kitchen shop, so she wants to make it look larger.
So there's a few different ways. You want to, if at all possible, make it bigger. If you can't make it bigger, then you want to remove cabinets that are obstructing your view. You want to maybe bring down a wall and do kind of an open concept deal where you can maybe leave a beam, but you can still see from the kitchen to the dining room or the kitchen into the living room. Those are kind of some cool stuff. And then maybe even find some storage somewhere else in the house that you could use as a pantry, things like that. So we come across this all the time. Galley kitchens here in the South Bay are very common. And if you send us some pictures. I'll shoot you over some ideas for free. It won't cost you anything. Anything else?
Another question from looks like somebody wants to know, do you have to move out for a large project like the ones that you showed?
Some of the projects you have to move out. Now, like the big major remodel, my favorite kitchen, they didn't move out, but they're brave folks. There's some brave folks. They lived in the back, and I mean the house was a good sized house, but if you have pets and kids and stuff, and you have a lot going on, you may want to consider moving out for a little bit. But you don't always have to. We just finished a large remodel for the Collin family, and they stayed in through the whole thing. They're like hardcore folks. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, another question. Somebody else is asking, how can I make sure I get the perfect look for my kitchen?
So, man, that's a pretty good question. You have to get involved. You can't put you can't put all the faith in just a designer showing you stuff. You really have to go out there and look at a lot of different materials, look at a lot of different concepts, so that you can start to formulate what the look is that you want to have. I think another suggestion too is to keep your design true to form for the house. When people are trying to make a house not be what that house was designed to be, you end up with a mishmash type of a look, and that's not so good either. But be involved, get involved, work with somebody find somebody that you can work with, that you can communicate with well, that clicks with you on a personal basis. This is a very personal business, the construction business, particularly the remodeling. You folks put a tremendous amount of trust into guys like me, and it's something that I take very serious, and it's an important part of our understanding of our relationship together. So just understand that don't get so caught up in like what things cost and who can do it for the cheapest. Find somebody who's a good fit for you, and I think all the other stuff will work itself out. Anything else?
Another question from Lauren in Redondo Beach. She says, I also live in Redondo Beach and my kitchen is also tiny. What are some ideas to make better use of my small kitchen space?
So for the galley kitchens here in the South Bay, you want to utilize most, like 90% of the time, people get custom cabinets because they can have custom solutions to the storage issues, right? Like you can literally make every compartment in the cabinet house something specific. So in that scenario, I would probably recommend custom cabinets, and then kind of lay out on the table all of the things that you're going to keep. People keep a lot of stuff, a lot of junk in their kitchen cabinets, and you want to make sure that you're only designing to keep the stuff that you use often. So if you haven't used it in in about a year, you probably don't need it. Now I want to go away and throw away the plates that you got when you were getting married, when you got married and stuff. But I would say for space planning in your kitchen, only plan for the items that you used within a year or less. What else we got?
Another question from Monica. She says, is it cheaper to hire an interior designer than a contractor?
That question can stir up a little bit of controversy. I would tell you that if you hire somebody like us to do your interior design, it'll always be cheaper than a designer. A designer, they have to make all of their money on the design fees, right? They have to pay their overhead and all that stuff. I mean, think about it. Which is not a reason to not hire a designer. By all means, hire somebody that you can work with and that has the patience to work with you. But if you hire us to do the design for you, it'll definitely be less expensive, because we do the design for us. The sole purpose, the whole reasoning for doing the design is so that you can make a decision, so that we can pick your stuff, so that we can actually get started with your project. Many contractors, they don't have that service, and people are they get stuck. They don't know what is a good countertop, and they don't have time to do all the crazy research about all the stuff that there is out there. I mean, there's literally a limitless supply of information about these different components of the remodel. So we like to think that the money that you invest in us to do the design portion is money well spent, and it helps keep the project on track. Any other questions? Do you guys agree? Do you feel like any of you guys out there feel like you don't need a designer? Some people don't need a designer. With us, you still get it. So because we got to walk you through the process. So with us, it's a very clean process. First step is we meet here at my office for consultation. It's free. If you decide you want to work with us, we'll sign a design agreement. If you take advantage of the offer the next 2 weeks, or really till the end of the month, it's not even 2 weeks. It's like 10 days or something like that. 8 days. We'll for the $297, it's $300. It's like no money. Okay, I mean some people spend it on dinner. We'll do the full design. We'll do a floor plan for you. We'll do elevations for you. We'll go shopping with you. It's a loss for us. It's a loss of revenue, but it is definitely designed for those of you that have been sitting on the fence, don't know what to do, need to move forward with the deal, and you just don't know where to start. So just get on the phone and take advantage of that, or send me a message through Facebook or YouTube, and we can get started with you Monday next week. So it's design, free consultation here at the office. We'll talk about your budget. We'll talk about, bring some pictures with you, talk about the possibilities of what can be done with a budget of any of your choosing and size. We got the design deal done. We get you through and get a job scope created, which is a list of all the tasks that need to take place for your project. We'll give you the price for the entire construction project. If you want to move forward with that, we put a payment schedule together, and we put you on the calendar for construction. And that's it. We pull all the permits for you. You reimburse us for the permit fees, and we'll be there to handle all the inspections. We represent you with the city. If you need any architectural and engineering plans drawn up, we'll do that for you too. And we're here to help. We're here to get your project on the road. A lot of you have been postponing or delaying it because you need help. Well, we can help. We're set up to help you through the whole phase. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, one last question from Jessica. She says, how long did these projects take to complete?
Some of them took, I would say, 8 weeks to, some of them even took 3 or 4 months. And it really depended on which one you're talking about, because many of them, we had to redo all of the plumbing and all of the electrical, and that took 4 weeks before we really got started on anything that people could see, right? Like, so that's the thing that some people don't consider, is that there's a lot of foundational work, right, that we have to do first in order to get to the point where we can put drywall back in and cabinets in and flooring and stuff like that. That's a great question. Anything else? Well, folks, go ahead and post any more questions you have, even after the broadcast. We always answer the questions. We always respond to your posts. This show is for you, folks. This is the residential construction and real estate show. My name's Alex with Bay Cities Construction, reminding you don't need a contractor. You need a team of pros.
The kitchen you want today from Bay Cities Construction in the Southern California and Los Angeles area. There is no better company who takes time out of the equation to get you a detailed plan of what your new kitchen will look like. For $297, get your design plans done, your interior design plans done, and entire project scope done right now. Get your finished kitchen in 90 days or less. We are the best in the Los Angeles and Southern California area, and there's no need to shop anywhere else. Just get started with Bay Cities Construction. Go to baycitiesconstruction.com. That's baycitiesconstruction.com.
Folks, don't forget to share this offer with anybody you know. And if you're ready to get started with a kitchen or bathroom remodel, give my offices a call, 888-881-7355. Hell, call me on my cell phone, 323-679-3056. For the first 5 people that share, you can get some Bay Cities gear. For those of you folks that got the answers right, we got some freebies for you. Don't forget to come back next week, 5:30 on Tuesday, for the live show here on Facebook, and also rebroadcast it on YouTube. My name is Alex with Bay Cities Construction, and I'll see you next time.
My name's Alex Rodriguez, reminding you, you don't need a contractor. You need a team of pros.